The story began by revealing a black sun set against a crimson sky in a desert landscape. Monsters were already flooding the area, and they were already ready to devour anyone. We then see our main protagonist screaming at the top of his lungs as he grips a small dagger with him. He directed the attack towards this monster who looked like a giant worm with a lot of sharp teeth. In a closer perspective, the monster let out a cry as our MC successfully landed his attack. Although he nearly lost his arm along the process, his hands trembled as he realized what could have just happened if he hesitated even for a second. A few moments later, the monster had finally collapsed beside him, and he let out a sigh of relief. He caught his breath as he tried to wipe the blood of the monster that was splattered on his face. Our MC then uttered that he can now finally defeat a monster using his own power. But his thought was interrupted as someone called him unawakened. His attention was then directed elsewhere. Right in front of him was a gruesome battlefield. Corpses of monsters were already piling up, and humanity continued their hunt. The man that called him earlier then shouted on what he was doing. He addressed our MC as a mere porter, and he commanded him to just do his job and collect the drops from the monsters. The guy beside him agreed. Our F-rank porter was then flustered, and he immediately apologized. He was reminded that a fool like him should not space out around. The two men had already turned around to proceed on their hunt, but they still commented that the porter was such a useless bastard. Our MC's expression turned serious as he was reminded what's his role in this cruel world. The emotion that he felt was overwhelming, and the only word he could utter for this situation was, fuck. In this world he lived in, everything changed after the abyss was discovered. It's another dimension where monsters that only existed in fantasies actually existed. And after the discovery of the mysterious place, people have started to awaken transcendental powers. Using those powers, they defeated monsters and continued to explore the abyss. As a result, the conventional method of evaluating individuals shifted away from assessing their personality or effort, but on their awakening rank. If someone's awakening was high enough, they are guaranteed to live a good life. As our MC continued to check the corpses of the monsters that were defeated, he got this purple gem. He then remembered how the abyss changed his life. Not for the better, but for worse. He spent his life working as a porter because he's unawakened and has never even opened a status window at the age of 35. He knew that the comfortable life that he was dreaming of was still unreachable as long as he's not awakened yet. Shifting his focus, our MC turned around to inform the players that he already got the loot. But his expression changed as soon as he saw what's in front of him. The once battlefields that were full of monster corpses were changed into the bodies of the players being piled up. All the humans that came up with him were dead, even the guys who just berated him a while ago. While wondering what the hell just happened, his expression turned more grim and horrified as he heard an ominous voice that told him that he was the only one left. He then turned around and saw the gigantic monster that loomed over him. This one was different from the usual monsters that they hunted from the abyss. This formidable creature, known as Asmodeus, was categorized as an SSS-ranked monster, signifying its exceptional level of power and threat. Our MC knew that this was now a lost cause. There's no way he could survive against one of the most powerful beings in the abyss, but he still opted to muster his strength and dash towards it. The dark arms of Asmodeus then moved and went towards him, and in an instant, his arm was hit by a powerful force that made it instantly detached. As soon as his mind caught up on what just happened, our MC screamed in pain and fell on the ground. But even then, he still did his best to shift his focus and look at Asmodeus so he could understand what just happened to him. His eyes widened in sheer shock as he realized something. Asmodeus was already standing in front of him, and the triple S-rank monster directed a ray of purple light towards our MC. This guy had no way of dodging the attack as it approached his forehead. All he could do now was to watch and wait for his death. While his blood dripped down, he continued to stare at the red, menacing eyes of Asmodeus. He wondered if this is how he's gonna die. Tears fell from both of his eyes as he realized that this was really happening. His end was near. His life was already flashing before his eyes as he recalled the car accident that killed his parents, the time when he was bullied in school, and how he lived a life of being ignored just because he was unawakened. Even more so, his heart was then filled with regret and anger as he realized that he will now be ending his life after only carrying around cargo. He thought that he was such a fucking loser. Our MC clenched his teeth as more blood dripped from his face. It was as if he was already crying tears of it. The scene then shifted as it focused on one of the droplets. The solitary drop then made a transformation. It shifted its color and started emitting a bright light. A vortex of light then appeared, and it showed that all the awakening conditions had been satisfied. The horrifying scene that our MC was seeing a while ago changed into what looked like the vast universe. A white figure also appeared out of nowhere. The F-rank porter then stared at the mysterious being that was descending from the golden stairs. Things were progressing much quicker than his brain could process, and it got him all confused. Our MC's gaze got fixed on the white being that was now in front of him. He then turned around as he recalled that moments ago he was just about to die from Asmodeus. But right now, he was staring at his own self that had fallen on the ground. As he stared more intently, he noticed that the triple S-rank monster had stopped moving. The white figure let out a laugh as he was amused by our MC's intense focus on Asmodeus stopping. The porter then shifted his attention towards the white figure being and asked about his identity. His question made the white figure smile, and he introduced himself as King. But he told our MC that he doesn't need to worry about that. And while sitting on his golden throne, King spoke again and revealed that he shall now be bestowing an authority onto the F-rank porter from now on. Our MC struggled to really grasp what was really happening. He wondered what the so-called King was talking about, even mentioning words like authority. King noticed his hesitation and told him that it's not good to be so distrustful, which alerted him. The king went on to explain that he admired the man's tenacity and strong will, which was the reason for choosing him for this special opportunity. As King held his hand in front of the human, he reminded him that this was the only chance he would ever get. Our MC was still confused and tried to ask King what was really happening, but his questions were left unanswered. But the king assured him that if he waits patiently, the day where he will understand everything will come. A white, blinding light then enveloped our MC's body, and the last words he heard were, "Let's meet again." Suddenly, a monster materialized out of thin air. The white figure made mention of a key in the midst of this unexpected development. As the man slowly regained consciousness, he began to hear a voice, which disparagingly stated that a bastard was still sleeping. He started opening his eyes as this voice told him how he is ignoring them, and this voice decided that it's time to wake him up. As he fully opened his eyes, he was met with the sight of a smiling man who greeted him with a warm, "Good morning." However, to his shock, the guy that was smiling abruptly slapped him. After delivering the forceful slap, the man inquired, "Are you awake now?" The man who had slapped him, along with two others, appeared to be familiar. He grabbed our MC and stated that he only listened when given a good beating. It was then that the man recognized this individual as Bae Hyuksu. He couldn't help but wonder how the person who had been a relentless bully during their high school days was now standing before him. The bully referred to him as Tae-hyun and questioned why he wasn't responding. Confusion washed over him, as he had been certain that he was in the abyss just moments ago. As he received another harsh slap, he couldn't help but wonder if the newfound authority he had been granted. His eyes held a distracted look, as if his mind was entirely consumed by the strange events happening around him. He noticed a notification status displayed on his side, which stated his name as Kim Tae-hyun, his age as 19, and revealed his rank as F along with information about his skill. He was taken aback by the appearance of the status window, particularly when he realized that it indicated he was only 19 years old. Realizing that the status window indicated that it had been 16 years since he was 19, he couldn't help but break into a smile. He burst into hearty laughter. The man's unexpected and prolonged laughter unnerved the bully. The bully inquired about what was wrong with him and asserted that he must have gone mad, yet the man continued to laugh uncontrollably. The bully, increasingly agitated by the man's laughter, declared that he truly seemed to want to be hurt, further escalating the tension in the situation. In a sudden turn of events, Kim Tae-hyun delivered a powerful punch to the bully, striking him with significant force. The two other bullies were left in a state of shock. Kim Tae-hyun, despite his previous laughter, continued to smile as realization dawned on him. His smile persisted because he had come to the realization that he had also become a freaking awakened. The four of them were still on the rooftop while the bully named Hyuksu lay on the ground. Kim Tae-hyun rubbed his cheek, and the two other bullies launched forward to attack him. They have their own unique powers, as one yields fire on his hand while the other bully's hand is frozen. The bully tried to hit him with his fire, but he successfully dodged, and then he punched back, while he kicks the other bully in the stomach. He had a serious expression on his face, as he recalled that for 35 years, almost all of his entire life as an unawakened, he did everything he could, from fundamental physical training, to study all the information about the abyss and monsters and learn different skills, even interpersonal combat skills such as boxing, kendo, archery. That's why he's confident that he'll never lose to the untrained bullies. The two bullies advanced towards him in an attempt to land an attack. He fought back and easily landed attacks on them as he claimed them to be someone who doesn't even know the basics. The bullies fell to the ground, and Taehyun catches his breath. He rubbed his knuckles as he looked down on those defeated students as he smiled and uttered how he needs to take physical training again. Bae Hyuksu surprised him when he uttered, "What a load of bullshit." Taehyun saw Hyuksu standing up, while Hyuksu expressed his shock at how Taehyun had awakened, and he cursed at him. Hyuksu unleashed his ability, and his body turned into a sturdy-looking stone as he expressed his anger and informed Taehyun that he will be dead. Hyuksu's ability is called Stone Skin at rank C. This ability strengthens the body with stones surging from the skin. Hyuksu tried to punch Taehyun. Taehyun successfully evaded that stone fist. With fast movement, Hyuksu launches another attack, almost hitting Taehyun. Taehyun was surprised to witness that Hyuksu had leapt in front of him in an attempt to smash him with both of his fists. This attack caused a huge explosion, making debris and dust fly everywhere. As the area is starting to become clear of dust, it can be seen that Hyuksu is standing still with his fist still in contact with the ground. And in a flash, Taehyun was behind him to launch an attack. Upon sensing this, he turned to see his backside, and immediately Taehyun came in contact with his face with a strong force. Taehyun's other fist was ready for another punch, but something had shocked him. Hyuksu was staring back at him with a smirk, asking him what he's doing. Hyuksu seemed unaffected with the attack since his face had also turned into stone. Taehyun noted how he hurt his hand by hitting Hyuksu. Hyuksu launched a counterattack, successfully coming into Taehyun's body. And that attack blasted Taehyun away. Taehyun crashed on the ground with a huge impact that made the ground crack. He coughed blood, and one side of his head is bleeding profusely. Hyuksu confidently walked towards him and mocked him by saying that he should have known his own limits. With a smug look, Hyuksu insulted him by calling him a lowly, unawakened bastard. He asked him if he's going to run like he used to do all the time, or if he is going to choose to struggle with his newly awakened skill. While laying on the ground, Taehyun remembered that all awakenings possess a skill and a rank. It starts with rank F, who is not far from being a normal human, and the highest rank is S, who are akin to being monsters. The physical abilities and skills of the awakened rises exponentially, but Taehyun knew that what he possesses is a skill unknown and unheard of, but it's the worst of rank. The notification screen shows that he's at rank F with a skill called Predation. Therefore, he couldn't help but to admit that he had no chance of winning against Bae Hyuksu, who's a C rank. But for some reason, he felt differently. Bae Hyuksu stopped on his tracks when he noticed something unusual. Taehyun's injured hand is covered with a fiery red glow. As he stood up, his body seemed to be engulfed in a sinister aura. He declared that he doesn't feel like he's going to lose. Surprisingly, his aura grew stronger. It covered the area in a red and black hue, while a gust of red wind swirled around him like it was about to start a tornado. Hyuksu couldn't help but wonder what the hell was in front of him. With a strong wind blowing towards his way, Hyuksu couldn't believe that Taehyun actually awakened. His disbelief stems from the idea that for him, Taehyun is a lowly person. Taehyun looked at his hands as they emitted smoke like red hue, and he couldn't help but wonder if that is the skill called Predation. He felt the magic move according to his will. He heard Hyuksu declare that he doesn't know what's happening, so he gazed at him with his red glowing eyes. Hyuksu advanced to attack him with his mind filled with the idea that everything will be over once he killed the caster of the magic. Taehyun extended his red smoke-covered hand and released a powerful attack in the form of several circular lights. Hyuksu was surprised with this, especially this overpowered his ability, which made him shed the stones from his body. As his fist came in contact with Taehyun's hand, Taehyun seemed to release more of his power. Red thread-like hue swirls around his body as his hand emits a bright light. Taehyun's face looked serious and focused as he willed his power to his liking. His eyes became fierce as the battle continued, and Hyuksu made loud noises as he did his best not to lose the fight. But his efforts were in vain as the stones covering his body fully disappeared. The students from across the rooftop seemed to be oblivious to the intense battle, until a great red tornado covered the whole sky. The explosion caused thick smoke to cover the whole area. Along with it are debris flying everywhere. As the smoke slowly disappears, Taehyun's is also slowly fading away. The red hue that covered his body was no longer there, while Hyuksu looked like he was roasted with his face covered in black dirt and his eyes had rolled back into his head. Taehyun watched every second as Hyuksu fell to the ground. He didn't leave unscathed, as he appeared extremely exhausted from the battle. A notification screen informed him that predation had been completed, and as a result of preying upon a target, his rank went up to E stones, started covering Tae-hyun's hand, and the notification screen informed him that he has a new skill. Tae-hyun's arm had looked like Hyuk-soo's arm earlier. This is because the stone skin has been registered as his new skill.